Hello class, my name is Carlos Barrera and I'm going to be talking about the decorator design pattern. The decorator design pattern works by simplifying the attachment of additional responsibilities to an object without adding responsibilities to an entire class. In other words, the decorator design pattern is able to add responsibilities to individual objects dynamically and without affecting other objects. When I'm talking about responsibilities, I mean methods, right? Features. This is also known as a wrapper. Most of us have dealt with object-oriented design, and we've dealt with decorator design patterns. The decorator design pattern. A good example of a decorator design pattern would be the development of classes when developing our products, spending trends in graphical format. The reason why the decorator design is for displaying spending trends is because we will just be changing the object skin versus its guts. Implementing a class that covers all possible graphical displays would be wasteful because most graphical displays won't be used. Instead, we can format the displays. We can format the display class and add responsibilities as the user asks for them. A good example is that maybe someone's more statistically savvy and they are the box plot, but most people who are going to be using our app will probably not use box plot. So there's no reason to implement a box plot to a parent class or into the graphical display. We can create a wrapper and then add it as the user asks for it. The upsides of using the decorator design pattern are two. They're very similar, but both have they're both very important. The first upside is it adds more flexibility than just static inheritance. With the decorator design pattern, responsibilities can be added and removed from an object at runtime by simply attaching and detaching decorators from wrappers. In contrast with inheritance, it requires to create a new class for each additional responsibility. Segueing to the second point, this the second upside is that it avoids feature-laden classes high up in the hierarchy. Inheritance can attach unnecessary responsibilities to a subclass, while decorators only add responsibilities as they are needed. This allows the construction of simpler classes and optimizing overhang. It also simplifies the addition of responsibilities because the probability of conflicts is minimized due to the parent class simplicity. So because you're not inheriting a lot, you don't have to worry about confliction. You can almost consider every class as its own independent class, even though it will have some similarities. This is also very useful. Let's talk about like JavaScript, right? When we're talking about interfaces, the beauty about interfaces is that you can add similarities without actually adding strict guidelines. It is the decorator design basically helps you do the same thing. If you, let's say you want to add, it's just garbage. Hello class, my name is Carlos Barrera and I'm going to be talking about the decorator design pattern. The decorator design pattern works by simplifying the attachment of additional responsibilities. Responsibilities can be considered features or methods like an object's method or a class's method to an object without adding responsibilities to the entire class. In other words, the decorator design pattern is able to add responsibilities to individual objects dynamically and without affecting other objects. A good example of decorator design pattern would be the development of classes. When developing our products, spending trends in graphical format, um, the reason why the decorator design is appropriate for displaying spending trends is because we'll just be changing the object skin versus its guts. So in other words, we'll just be changing the object and not the class. Implementing a class that covers all the possible graphical displays would be wasteful because most graphical displays won't be used or they won't be used by everyone. Instead, we can format the display classes and add responsibilities as the user asks for them. There's two upsides. They're kind of similar, but there are some distinctions. The first upside is more flexibility than static inheritance. With the decorator design pattern, responsibilities can be added and removed from an object at runtime by simply attaching and detaching decorators or wrappers. In contrast with inheritance, it can require to create new classes for each additional responsibility, and the removal of inheritance also requires substantial modifications to the classes instead of modifying a single object. That's a pretty good segue of the second upside. The decorator design pattern avoids feature-laden classes high up in the hierarchy. Inheritance can attach unnecessary responsibilities to a subclass, while decorators only add responsibilities as they are needed. This allows the construction of simpler classes and optimization of overhang. It also simplifies the addition of responsibilities because the probability of conflicts is minimized due to the simplicity of the parent class. So overall, the decorator design plan is very useful when you're not going to have a static object. If you're creating an object that won't change, you know that you won't have to add additions, or if the subclass or if the parent class is fairly, it's a good foundation. You don't believe that there will be modifications, then there wouldn't be a need for the decorator design plan. But with But if you know that your object is going to be changing or you're going to want to add additional information later on, it will be a good idea to add some decorators into it. Thank you. Now I'm going to pass the mic to my partner. Thank you for listening. Now I'm going to pass the mic to my partner.